Now this is the FL5 Civic Type R, and I wouldn't really class this as a hot hatch anymore. It's like a hatch slash saloon, or sportback should we call it, because it's quite a big car. But how gorgeous is this? I mean, look at the thing. For me, it's the best looking Civic Type R they've ever made. But the question I want to know is today, have they made it too fancy? Well, let's find out. I'm Max Hatavani, welcome to Driven Plus. When I said that they've made this car too fancy, I think they have. Now normally Civic Type Rs are driven by people who have too many tattoos, or they wear a snapback hat, or they just like to rev the car for no apparent reason at all. Whereas in this new one, everything's just got a bit serious. It's matured because now you buy the Civic Type R to stand out for the right reasons. And this new Type R turns heads in a way that people look at you and think, oh wow, that's a nice car. I wonder what he does for a living. Whereas I can definitely tell you that's never happened with any other Type R that came before this. And when I said everything seems to have gotten a bit serious, well, all you have to do is properly drive this thing. Listen to it. Oh, wow. It's so engaging. And the drive is so good. Wow. I mean, we've got it in R+ mode, and I'll explain the modes later on, but it's got rev matching built in as well. And the sound is good too, and the power delivery, it's linear, to be fair. It doesn't feel like a turbocharged car. It feels like a naturally aspirated car. You know, you put your foot down, progressively up to its red line of 7,000 RPM, and then the VTEC kicks in. Although at first thought, you may think it's expensive, but like most things, you get what you pay for. This new Type R is the fastest front-wheel drive car to ever lap the Nürburgring. And it gets better. As you can see here, you have a bonnet vent, which is functional. And you have a good old strut here to keep it propped up, all for weight saving, of course. Anyway, here sits a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged VTEC engine. It wouldn't be a Civic Type R without VTEC, and it produces 325 horsepower and 420 newton meters of torque, and it has an impressive top speed of 171 miles per hour, and this is only available with a 6-speed manual gearbox, and I absolutely love that. And Honda say this will do a 0 to 60 time of 5.4 seconds, so let's find out. Okay, so it's time to launch the Civic Type R FL5 from 0 to 60. Now before I do, I want to see if it makes that traditional Civic Type R sound when you rev it stationary. No, it's got a soft limit to it, 3,500 revs. Shame. Anyway, on your screen now are the stats and figures on this car, so pause your screen if you want to look into them. Now this car does not have launch control, but I've disabled the traction control, and let's see what we're going to get. I'm not hoping for a good time because it's front wheel drive, so you know this car hasn't been built to be launched. But anyway, it's always interesting to see what it gets. Here we go. Wheel up. Spinning the wheels. Second gear strong, and there we go. 5.68 seconds. That was better than I thought, to be honest. Let's go for one more run. I think we can get better than that. Let's go. I don't know whether to turn the traction control back on, because sometimes that does help it. Let's try it. Let's try that. Okay, we're back on normal. Here we go. 5.68. That was more or less the same identical time. Well, anyway, I don't think we're going to get better than that. As I said before, this car hasn't been made to launch. It's made to smash cars on the track and on the Nürburgring. It's the fastest front-wheel drive car on the Nürburgring, isn't it? Anyway, that's what it stacks up against, and let's go back to the review. Now, Honda has given this a wider track compared to the FK8 for improved cornering capabilities, and you also have adaptive dampers. And this car also comes with a limited slip differential. I mean, I'd be pretty annoyed if it didn't for £50,000. But here we have 19-inch black forged alloy wheels, and they look absolutely fantastic. And they're wrapped by Pilot Sport 4S Michelin tyres. No matter what angle you look at this car from, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's less aggressive and sleek compared to its predecessors. Bear in mind the FK8 in 2017 costed you £30,000 new. That same money with inflation today is £40,000. So this has undergone a £10,000 price increase. Do I see the difference? Well, I'll let you know at the end of the video. So far, yes. Moving to the inside of this car, and I feel as if when you sat in, then you realise why you've spent all this money, because what a place it is. I really like this cabin. It's so simple, but yet so smart. Now, starting with these red bucket seats, which are red Alcantara, they're really nice. A lot of red going on in here, by the way. By the footwell, you've got the mats as well, and you've got the Type R logo embossed on the headrests too. Now, the steering wheel is Alcantara, so that feels premium. It's nice and thin as well, and behind that sits a digital driver's display, and you can change the view on that when you flick through the different driving modes, which I'll touch on in a second. Moving to the infotainment screen, really easy to use. You get something called Honda Log R, so if we press that, in comes your G meter, or if you scroll across, you can have different gauges going on, such as your water temperature, your oil temperature, and the PSI of the turbo. So that's really handy, especially when you want to use it on track. Coming underneath there, you've got this really simple climate control unit, which is really easy to use, so I'm a big fan of that. I'm happy you don't have to go in a different screen to change the temperature. Big fan. Beneath there, you get two USB sockets, and beside that, you get a 12-volt socket as well. Underneath there, you get a wireless charging pad for your phone, so that's really good. And look at this single billet aluminium manual gearbox. The knob is just absolutely gorgeous. But it just feels very nice in the palm of your hand. Now, the one thing I like when you flick between different driving modes is the noise it makes. Listen. Sounds like Gran Turismo. I really, really like that. And you get your Plus R mode as well, so that changes the digital driver's display, so you flick between comfort and sport. So yeah, really nice. You get two cup holders here as well, and your center console box isn't the biggest size, if I was to be honest, but I like the layout. Really premium materials going on. I mean, it's well built, but you'd expect it to be for £50,000. I mean, normally Japanese cars normally like to use these cheap plastic materials, but there's none of that going on in here. It's premium. Look at this Alcantara, and the ergonomics is good. I feel really comfortable in here and snug and ready to go for a good track blast. Moving to the rear of this thing, and personally, this is my favourite angle of this car. Now, you have this massive rear wing spoiler, which is apparently functional, and it produces 90 kilos of downforce at 125 miles per hour. And I like this light bar going on. You've got the Type R badge, and obviously the 3 exhausts down there. Looking into the boot, it's a big space, by the way, but it's 10 litres down compared to the FK8, but it comes in at 410 litres. And when we bring this down, right, let's give this car a rev in comfort mode first. Okay. Well, let's see if there's any difference when we put it in sport mode. Didn't really hear any difference. Anyway, let's get back onto the road. What I'm getting from this car is that it's not here to be driven with plastic tubes over the rear wheels and do donuts in the nearest supermarket car park. No, it's here to make you question why you'd buy a Golf GTI or Golf R, one of these. For me, I'd have this because it's a proper driver's toy, and I absolutely love it, and you don't see many of them. And the fact that this car has a 6-speed manual gearbox just puts the icing on the cake for me. I mean, you could have easily thought Honda would have put a 7-speed dual clutch in this just to be with the times. But no, they haven't. They've stuck to what they know best. And the gearbox is lovely too. It's so tight. It's so precise. Clutch feel is good as well. It feels proper. It doesn't feel disconnected one bit. It reminds me of a GR Yaris gearbox. Very nice, very tight, very precise. And I'm a massive fan of this manual gearbox, but I do think Honda could have sold a lot more if they offered it with an automatic gearbox. Look at the Golf GTI and GR Yaris now. Both of those cars come with an automatic gearbox. Yes, you can still get the GR Yaris with a manual, but the option is there. But I'm only saying this from a sales perspective. I just think Honda could have sold a lot more had they offered this with an automatic. But, for me, it's a Civic Type R. There's only one option you get, and that's a manual. But where you really get to grips with this car is its sheer performance. I mean, let's go down to second. It's fast. And one thing I like is the chassis. It feels well balanced, it's stiff. The suspension is firm, but it's not too firm. Bear in mind, we are in comfort right now, but if we put it in plus R mode, and basically the steering wheel firms up, everything else, and the suspension, because they're adaptive, they go hard, and I think they go too hard, if I was to be honest. Great for a track, but remember, we're in the UK, I'd keep the suspension in comfort. The only problem which I think Type R enthusiasts might encounter is how refined this car is. It's really, really nice, but bear in mind, we are in individual, so most things are in sport or plus R. So if we put it down to comfort mode and just, you know, tootle along, take our time, it's really comfortable. The steering's nice and light, suspension's nice, it's compliant. You could easily daily drive this car. Not much noise coming from the engine. Road noise is good as well. It's great. I could easily daily drive this car. Manual gearbox is lovely too. That's never happened with a Civic Type R before. And it's also heavier than its predecessor, and that really doesn't surprise me because it's not that small. It sits between a hatchback and a coupe. It's 30 kilos heavier than the FK8, coming in at 1,450 kilos. I mean, to be fair, compared to all other modern hatchbacks now, that's still pretty light, and it feels nimble and agile too. I think the steering feel is very good on this car, and the front end just feels so tight. So we've got a nice left tight bend here, and we're going to pin it in here. You know, you put it in and you can feel the LSD gripping, and you know, you're on your way to 7,000 RPM, and the VTEC kicks in. I'd love to track this car. It's so capable. It's just so fun as well. You can pin it. This is a great bend. Wow, that front end is so sharp. And the back end just skips along with you as well. The brakes are awesome. Gearbox rev matching. And the engine noise is good too. What a car! Smiles on your face. That's what a Civic Type R should do. Oh, I'm seriously impressed with this car. Wow, that's so capable. Ah, yes, I'm smiling. That's what a car should do. That's what Civic Type R does. It's done its job. So is this car worth its price tag? Well, if you're a purist and you want to experience the best front-wheel drive hot hatchback on sale right now, then this is your buy. The only problem is, though, at £50,000, it makes you consider buying other cars which the Civic has never gone against before. But I quite like this, though. It kind of gives you an old-school drive, but with a modern layout, and that's what I like about it. And for the UK market as well, I don't think anything else comes close. I mean, what the Civic Type R used to go against are not there anymore. You don't have the Megane RS anymore. I think the only thing you can probably liken it to is the Golf GTI or the GR Yaris. I mean, yes, some other countries can put this against the GR Corolla, but here in the UK, we don't get that car, unfortunately. So the next thing we can compare it to is the GR Yaris. But I'd honestly have this because I think it looks better. I think it drives better, if I was to be honest. I'd have this over the GTI because it's rare and it's nice and it's different, and I like different. Yeah, it's just really like it. And I like Jap stuff. I really, really do. I've been a fan of Honda Civic Type Rs in the past, but none of them have really stood out to me to a point where, yeah, I could see myself in one of them, but I could see myself in one of these because I like the fact it's matured. I like the technology. I like the cabin. I really like the climate control cluster because that's really easy to use. Yeah, big fan. And if you're thinking of buying one, you're not going to be disappointed. I'd say it's probably one of the cars which has took me by surprise the most this year in terms of driving experience, outright engagement, considering it's a 2025 model year car. I mean, yes, okay, every time you get in it, you have to go in some different sub-menus to turn the bleeps off and traffic sign recognition, and that's quite annoying. But if you buy an earlier model, it doesn't have that. That's the only pet hate with all these modern cars, isn't it? But I'd like to say a massive thanks to Tom for letting me get behind the wheel of this FL5 Civic Type R today. It's been that good, I'm going to go home and see what the deals are on these, because I might fancy a change soon, and this is a bit different, and you know, the driving experience is very good as well. I'll just be interested to see what they come out at. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and leave a like on it too, and we'll see you soon. Thanks guys, bye bye.